trying to be able to pass out some winners here on this Baseball Thursday. We'll be taking a look on that front. Went through what I'm taking a look at in terms of the Oilers versus Stars game in the previous segment. Like I said, if I'm looking anywhere, I'm looking at the Dallas Stars on the money line. I don't do as much in terms of hockey, so I'm not going to be messing around with the total, but I do think that with the Stars, with their back up against the wall, I do think that they find a way to get to Stuart Skinner, and I do think that they find a way to be able to get it done. But in terms of the NBA front as well, I'm not going to be playing the side or the total pregame, but I do have a few props that I'm liking in terms of this Pacers versus Knicks game. Right now, with the Knicks, they are between a 4 to a 4.5 point favorite. That total's hovering in the neighborhood about 222.5, 223.5. I just keep bringing it up all show long. How in the world do we have Mitchell Robinson having his player prop of a rebound prop at a 9, where he has had 9 rebounds or fewer in each of the last 5 games? It just feels like this number has been set too high all postseason long. I do think that Miles Turner is going to be able to give you a little bit more as well. Right now, we're finding his rebound prop at a 6, and this is someone that when he was out there for the Cleveland Cavaliers series, he was able to give you 7+ rebounds in all but one of those games. Has just not been able to find too much down low. I believe much of that is due to the fact that Karl Anthony Towns has been so dominant in this series, but I do think that he's going to be able to give you a little bit more. If I'm looking at a player that I'm not fading in terms of prop market, it's certainly Karl Anthony Towns. Now, I'm probably not going to be taking those exorbitant numbers, 12+ rebounds, north of 20 points. Those are just a little bit too rich for my blood, but at the same time, do think that he's going to be able to give you a relatively good performance out there. I'm also going to be taking a look at Ben Mathurin to be able to go over 8 points. I do think that for the Pacers, they're going to be looking to him off the bench. He was really able to find something in game number 4. Recognize that the role players typically, when they're on the road, don't necessarily play the same way that they do at home, but I think that he's someone that is going to be able to step up in this one, and I do think that he's going to be able to give you a nice performance. So that's what I'm taking a look at in terms of Knicks versus Pacers. Again, I always love to be able to in-game bet these games, and with regards to this series in particular, if you just done nothing other than bet the team that's gotten down double figures, you made yourself a lot of money, and why mess with something that's been, albeit very, very simple, but very, very profitable? And sometimes those are the best winners. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like, if you've been fading the Colorado Rockies all season long at 9-47, you know what? It's not like you have to be the Mona Lisa Vito of baseball handicapping to know that the Rockies absolutely suck. So sometimes you just want to be taking that approach, and you do want to be taking this approach if you're looking for some great rewards. It's the G-Bank trifecta that we've got going on here at VSiN. All you need to do is to open up a G-Bank Visa signature card, and they power all of our best bets here at VSiN. And in the first 90 days, you're able to deposit and play through $1,000 at first bet. That triggers this $500 trifecta. You'll receive $200 in cashback rewards on your G-Bank Visa signature card. First bet will give you a $100 deposit match, and then VSiN completes the trifecta by giving you a free VSiN Pro subscription all the way through August 31st for a $200 value. That gives you a $500 trifecta from G-Bank, First Bank, and VSiN. Head on over to vsin.com/Gbank. That is VSIN.com/Gbank. This is a one-time promotion that is going to be limited to customers opening up a new account in response to this offer and will not apply to requests to convert other existing accounts. Apply today. In terms and conditions, they do apply. How about if we dive in on the baseball front, where, again, wish we had a few more games. Went through it in the last segment, so we're not going to go too deep into the Seattle Mariners versus Washington Nationals game. I'm going to be in on that Seattle money line. I'd be willing to go up to about a -118 or so. And with regards to total at a 7.5, I'm going to be looking at the under. How about if we dive in on this double dip, though, between the Atlanta Braves and the Philadelphia Phillies? Game number 1 is going to be A.J. Smith-Shawver going for the Atlanta Braves against Christopher Sanchez for the Philadelphia Phillies. Phillies right around about a -140 favorite, and this total is 8.5. I'm going to be looking at the under. I do think that for Sanchez, he's going to once again be able to bring it at home. And if you look at Christopher Sanchez, since the beginning of the 2024 season, he's got a sub-3.25 ERA at home. On the road, it balloons up by more than a full point. He has been much more comfortable at home, and his swing and miss stuff just overall is very much up. Christopher Sanchez, a career high 10.8 strikeouts per 9 innings, only giving up 1 home run per 9. And for Smith-Shawver, I do have a little bit of trepidation with the walks that he's been giving out, about 4.3 walks per 9 innings. prior to his last start against the Nationals, where he got completely lit ablaze, giving up 7 runs, was really starting to round into form. But I do think that for the Atlanta Braves, they're going to be facing an uphill battle against a Philadelphia Phillies team that they've got a lot of guys moving the line. Other than Bryce Harper along with Kyle Schwarber, you're not getting a lot of power, and you do want to be noting that Bryce Harper did take a ball off of the elbow in the previous game. We didn't know if he was going to be ready for this game or not because the rainout happened so soon, but you do want to be mindful of that. If you do get Bryce Harper in this game, you might be a little bit more limited by what happened to his elbow a few days ago, but that said, you still have someone like a Bryson Stott who's been able to get hit for about a 270. Alec Boehm has been able to do a nice job moving the line. Nick Castellanos, Trey Turner down for what? He's been able to give you north of a 300 as well. And then with Schwarber, nearly a 400 on base, 18 home runs. He has been one of the most supreme hitters in all of baseball. And for the Atlanta Braves, getting back around Acuna Jr., that certainly elevates this offense. 2 home runs in his first 4 games of the season. That's big because he's had some hit-or-miss performances out of the Atlanta Braves, I think, is the most fair way of putting it. They're hitting about a 232 away from home, and they've got some of the biggest home and road splits that we've seen in all of baseball. They are currently 9-19 on the road thus far this season, so they do need to figure it out a little bit more there. Recognize that some of those road trips were very difficult. They began the season going to the West Coast, facing off against the San Diego Padres, facing off against the LA Dodgers. So I think that's a little bit more forgivable. But even if you take those 2 series out of the mix, they're still below 500 on the road this season. So do have to have my issues there. Now, you do have to have your issues with this Philadelphia Phillies bullpen as well. Having Jose Alvarado deciding that he's going to take a weight loss supplement and score an 80-game suspension, well, that's not great. So he did lose a little bit of weight because his wallet is a little bit less heavy because of these suspensions. So he did achieve that. So congratulations, Jose Alvarado there. But Matt Strom is right now the only guy in this Philadelphia Phillies bullpen that has a sub-350 ERA, though Ryan Kerkering starting to round into form. Jordan Romano, after he was miserable to start the season, he's been a little bit better, but still, you want to be seeing a little bit more of Carlos Hernandez, guys like this. And then for the Atlanta Braves, Desbel Hernandez has been very good in this bullpen. He's been able to supply a sub-250 ERA. Pierce Johnson has been pretty rock solid as well. Raisel Iglesias has actually been the weak link, and he's always been a relatively solid closer, so do find that to be intriguing. But for the Phillies, I'm going to be looking at their money line in really both of these games. In game number 1, right around about -140. Wouldn't want to go much further there, but going to be looking there. And with this total of 8.5, I set my total at an 8.3, so I'm going to be in on the under. And then game 2, Chris Sale against Zach Wheeler. Getting Zach Wheeler at less than -120 at home just feels really, really juicy. And Chris Sale, he's been able to round into form ever since a rough start to the season. He's given up 3 earned runs or fewer in each out of his last 5 games, but I just feel like he hasn't been on the same level as Zach Wheeler. Now, both of these guys give me north of 11 strikeouts per 9 innings. Both of these guys being able to mitigate hard contact, but Wheeler has been just so dominant at home this season. He's always been able to do a pretty nice job of holding down this Atlanta Braves lineup, and with Wheeler, the way that he's been able to give you great depth or great length, I should say, all season long, I do think that he finds a way to get the job done. I felt like this money line should have been closer to about a -140, so being able to get about a -115 or so, do like the Phillies there. And I did set my total a little bit north of a 7.5 because you do have yourself a doubleheader. I do think that both of these teams are going to be a little bit spent in terms of that bullpen, so I'm liking that over, and I'm liking the Phillies on the money line. What else I'm liking is the fact that you've got the Toronto Blue Jays right around about a -145 against the Athletics. Total is 8.5. Recognize that the Blue Jays have not been able to get a ton going on offense this season, but Jacob Lopez is a guy that has made 5 total appearances, has won a grand total of 14 innings. I think that you're going to see a lot of the A's bullpen, a bullpen that has north of a 5.75 ERA, 28th in the big league. So give me the Blue Jays on the money line there, and give me the over